Welcome to the Soccer Coaching Podcast, where we will discuss all things that impact soccer coaching across all levels and ages. Please listen, enjoy, and share your thoughts on the discussions at the Soccer Coaching Podcast.
Hello and welcome to this episode of the Soccer Coaching Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Scott.
I'm your other host, Mark.
All right, Marky, how we doing?
Yeah, pretty good, thank you.
Good
Pretty
stuff. Okay, so this is a pre-recorded interview we've done with Jamie Tompkins from Brentford.
Yep.
We've got about 45 minutes with him that's already been recorded. So it's just an intro to that. We won't say too much about it, obviously, because we've going to play the episode and we'll catch up afterwards, shall we?
Yeah, perfect.
But it was good, right?
Yeah, really good. Yeah,
Covered some good stuff.
Brilliant. Yeah,
Yeah.
very, very good. Definitely got a page full of notes, which I've taken, and definitely 2 or 3 points that I'm going to be taking away with me to work on. Really good.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look, yeah, guys, have a listen and see what you think, and then we'll catch up at the end and we'll share some views. Just before we get into the episode itself, then we're really grateful for the people that reach out and say nice things about the podcast episodes and what we've done so far, and we've had quite a few, Mark, actually.
Yeah.
Shall I go just through a few thanks?
Yep.
So we've got Paul Barry, who's at Arsenal. So thanks, Paul, for your kind feedback. And we're going to be approaching you, actually. We're going to try and come down and see you now. Now you've reached out, you've put your head above the parapet, mate, and we're going to come and find you and hunt you down. I hope that's okay. So expect a contact within the next week or two. Sam Hugh from Beijing. James Goodman from Belfast sent some nice feedback and also mentioned about us doing an episode on 7 and 9-a-side formations and things, which we will be definitely doing, won't we?
Yeah.
We're going to be picking your brains around the 7-a-side because you've had 2 seasons of that and
Yep.
you've moved to 9-a-side. So that will probably be, if not before the summer break, then certainly soon back afterwards.
Yep.
We've had Scott from Mountain House in California, which just sounds like the coolest place on the world to live, Mountain House, California. And he's got a cool name, obviously, which helps. Mick Tomo shared some overload and transition resources through Twitter, so thank you for that, Mick. Much appreciated. Matt sent an email actually around player behaviour. So I'm going to reply back to you, but hopefully today, with some stuff that I think may be useful. But also, we're hoping to approach a guest who is slightly outside of the world of football coaching direct, but I'm sure would have some wonderful insights into how coaches can use the work that he does in a different field around education to support us around dealing and working with players and parents, things like that. So we're going to really try and get that to be one of our key episodes at the start of next season. And we're going to do some work around trying to get this particular person. I won't say the name now, it's not fair to put pressure on them without talking to them first, but hopefully we can get someone. And if we can't get that person for any reason, then I'm sure we'll do something ourselves around player behaviour.
Yes.
But thanks, Matt, for the email, and I'm going to come back to you on that one. And also a shout out to some other people that have said nice comments about us and recognise the work we're trying to do here, and that's Student of the Game. So look out for them. You can find them on Twitter, the Youth Football Coach as well, and Grassroots Football Podcast. So again, people to have a look out and see what they're up to. I think a bit like what Mark and I are trying to do here, it's just about sharing stuff. You know, I hope it doesn't come across that we're ever trying to tell people what they should and shouldn't do, because that certainly isn't what we want it to be like. It's just sharing our experiences, some of our thoughts and ideas, and hopefully hearing back from you guys on what's working out there for you, so we can nick your ideas.
Yeah, definitely.
Know, so.
And we're here to learn as well, right? So we're happy to.
We need to learn.
We need to learn. There's no doubt about that. Yeah.
I saw your session on Saturday, Mark. It was very good. So obviously it's a two-way street, and I think everyone says that the coaches like magpies, so we steal ideas and try and make it work for in our environments.
Yeah.
Sound all right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Perfect.
All right. So we'll take a listen to Jamie, and then we'll catch up afterwards. Okay. Hello, Jamie. Welcome to the Soccer Coaching Podcast. How are you doing?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, very well.
This is your first podcast, I believe.
It is the first one.
All right,
I'm
good.
really looking forward to it. I'm a big fan of podcasts.
All right, you've got to say that. We've got you on. Look, we've tested you out on a few background questions, so you've obviously listened to a few of them, so thank you for that. Well, you'll know, Jamie, like the way that Mark and I do this is really just an opportunity for us to kind of pick your brains around coaching stuff, share some ideas for other coaches that listen, and just really kind of get some tips and guidance about what you think potentially things that have worked for you and gone down well, and things maybe you can share with us as ideas that we might bring into our practice with the players we work with.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
First and foremost, if it's okay, as is quite traditional with these podcasts and getting guests on, just a bit about your background and kind of what you've done up to this point in time.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So I've been coaching now for around 10 years. So I first started out when I was at sixth form. I had the opportunity to stay on and be part of a football coaching course. I went to Barnhill High School in Hayes.
Okay, not too far.
Not too far away, so very local. And there was a group of friends of mine. There was about 10 on the course. We did our level 1 in our first year, and we moved on to our level 2 in our second year. So it was a great opportunity for us It was, we absolutely loved it. We were not only coaching and learning how to coach, but playing football most days. So it was a great experience. Yeah. So it was something at the time where I was certainly exploring that as a career opportunity, because at 17 I was still playing, but I picked up an injury which meant I couldn't play no longer. But I still wanted to be involved in the game, and for me, coaching is the next best thing, and I really enjoyed it and wanted to continue that. So I started working here and there for a few companies just to gain experience. Worked with just going to after school clubs really, and just coach, just learn and make mistakes and learn from them and go again and do it better.
Right, just getting thrown out there, bag of balls, cones, deal with the kids. Yeah, everything's a bit different each time you turn up somewhere.
Exactly, it was certainly different. It was an eye opener and an opportunity for me just to try things out, change it, tweak it, do it again, and learn that way in an environment where I didn't have the pressure. I didn't have there's different environments where you're under pressure to everything's got to be right or seem to be right. But the most important thing is, one, can we have a good time, and we learn along the way. Yeah. So from there, I had the opportunity to go out to America. I coached out there for 3 months on the East Coast. Okay. I had a great time. Yes.
Where were you?
Chicago.
All right, very good.
In the winter or the summer?
This is summer, so we had.
Makes a big difference.
It was great. It was a great, lifestyle was amazing. Yeah. Had the opportunity to deliver some holiday camps during the day, and then we'd spend the afternoon on the beach. Yeah. So the lifestyle was luxurious. So it was great. So that was an eye opener as well, to see how football was interpreted in a different country. And at that time, David Beckham was out there, and it was literally exploding, and football was very, very popular. Yeah. So that was a good time to be out there. I came back, started with Brentford in the Community Sports Trust, and went my way up from there. Started off as a casual coach, and just to continue to throw myself into different environments, just to keep learning. And I've built myself up now to where I am. So I'm the community football development manager now. I've done a variety of roles. I've worked as a full-time sports coach, working in primary schools. I've worked in the academy, working with obviously some fantastic players, some elite players. So I've always enjoyed having that balance of working with beginners that are 5-6 years old, boys and girls, and working with elite players. So that's really helped me to refine my coaching style and help my experience. So
So just building on the point around you're the community football development manager, is that right?
That's
so
right.
What actually does that role kind of consist of then?
So it's an exciting role. Yeah. I absolutely love it. Yes, absolutely love it. It's football every day. Yeah. I can't be any better than that. Yeah. So we have a variety of football programs at the Community Sports Trust for boys, for girls. We have our futsal program, and we have our football education program for 16 to 19-year-olds. So we do have that wide range of sessions available for any player locally to attend and train. So the important thing is that we offer an environment where players can join and develop their skills in addition to their grassroots clubs. Right. And that's something we've always done since our football development centres began about 18 years ago. Is that what we offer is in addition? It's important that we don't conflict with grassroots clubs, because we're here to work with them and not against them or conflict with them. So that sort of sums up our football programme.
Does that mean, Jamie, that you don't take the players and you wouldn't sign them? If is it one of those things where we've got some of the players, but under 9s, they can be signed by the local clubs? Is that something Brentford doesn't do, or they still do that, but at a different level or age group?
We won't sign any players.
Right, I see. Okay, so it really is in partnership with the local clubs, really, in many ways. Yeah,
we're here to support, because we understand that players only have access to one training session a week, and if the desire is there to train more than once, then we can offer that professional coaching for those players and offer an experience to play for and represent Brentford as well. So during the school holidays, we're part of a match programme with other clubs where players can have the opportunity to wear the Brentford shirt and play as a team. But again, it doesn't conflict with grassroots clubs, and that's the important thing. Yeah. And I've always been keen to work with local clubs and support where I can, and that's what we do as a community sports trust.
Well, you came out and kindly did a session for us and our club, and the boys loved it. Boy was
it's great. There's some talented players there. They're really good. They're really good.
Yeah, they love the session. So, and what age groups do you cover then with the stuff you do for the schools?
So we start from reception in schools.
Okay.
School sessions are from 5 years old, and we work from 5 all the way through to 19.
And they'd come and train with you once a week, one evening a week, is it? I guess.
Yeah, once a week, and they have the option to train more if the desire is there.
Really
or
good.
We have some players that would like to train football, but also attend a futsal session in the week as well.
Okay. I want to come back to the futsal stuff if that's okay in a second or two, but I know you've got another role as well that you do, and you've been shy about this so far, but you've got some success in this season. So you also you're the first team manager at Ascot.
That's right. Yeah. So when as I progressed through Brentford, I got to a point where I wanted to be involved in the team. That opportunity came up. Well, I wasn't really looking for the opportunity. It was something that came up through a friend of mine to attend the World Youth Cup in Gothenburg in Sweden. It was just to attend that with him and assist him and his team. I thought it would be great to have a week away in Sweden and enjoy the trip. But I ended up getting heavily involved in the team, and it was a great experience. The World Youth Cup is the biggest competition for youth teams in the world. It's a fantastic experience for players to experience that. And we had a great tournament. We ended up getting to the semi-finals and finishing third and winning the bronze medal out of about 1,000 teams. And this was an under 18 team, so the players we had were fantastic, really talented players. It turns out that most of the players were playing for Ascot United, and that's when an opportunity came up when I came back to say they asked me if I wanted to take over the under-23s development team. At the time, I wasn't working for team. I was still at Brentford, and I thought, I'll give it a go. I know most of the players, and I thought I'd take it on. And from there, I took on the team. 6 months later, I'm involved in the first team, and now we're 12 months ago, manager of the first team. So it's been a great journey there at the club.
So you had your first full season last season as the first team manager.
That's right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Go on. How did it go?
It went really well. We finished 7th in the league.
Okay.
In the previous season, we finished 14th, and we won the League Cup this year as well. We beat our local rivals, Windsor, 3-1.
Oh, right, okay.
Which was great. Good crowd for that game as well. So it's a great club. I absolutely love being at the club. There's so many good people around, and it's one of the biggest clubs in the southeast of England as well. So the potential is absolutely huge. Yeah. We've got a new 3G pitch being built currently, which will be ready in September. So it's an exciting time.
Good times,
and it's good to be part of.
It must be quite nice for you then, because obviously with the coaching work you do at Brentford, that is coaching, isn't it? You're developing players there rather than looking at building a team and things like that, which is fantastic. But then having the other side to that, where you actually can focus on the team, that must be quite a nice kind of balance then.
It is. Yeah. It is. I'm a very competitive person.
You need that outlet.
I need to have that in a week. So it's nice to have that balance. I love nothing more than developing players and seeing young people have the opportunities that I never had when I was younger, and help them improve their game. But also, when it gets to senior football, we want to win 3 points on a Saturday and develop and progress the club. So it's nice to have that balance, and it's something I certainly look forward to on a weekend.
Yeah. So I think that's an interesting point, right? Because I'd imagine even as first team manager, and do correct me if I'm wrong here, but you're still trying to develop your players. You're still trying to get them better. Maybe the focus isn't just about development. It's the whole tactical side, and the most important thing is getting your 3 points. But I guess there's still an element of wanting to develop the players as well.
Absolutely. We generally have a young squad, and we always say to them that we're here to coach them and help them develop their game. Yeah. Yes, we do want to win, and whether it's win the league or win a cup at the end of the season. That's of course that's the goal and target of the club. Yeah. But we're here to help players progress, and we always say to them, we want you to progress with us as a club. And great if that happens, but if not, then the opportunities will be there, and you'll go with our best wishes. And again, it comes back to me seeing players that step up a level or two leagues above, for example. get more satisfaction out of that than promotion.
And I guess the message there to players as well who are looking, it's a good club to come to, right? Because they know that actually if they can progress from you, then that attracts better players anyway, right? So the reputation helps in the sense of bringing the right players.
It does. We've seen a lot of interest over the summer. We've been winning a cup and doing well in the league helps, but we've seen a player who's moved 3 leagues above into the Conference South, and another under-18 player who's played for England schoolboys this year, and he's had a great experience playing in different countries and also for his county. He's had a fantastic year, and I think players see that happen and they want a taste for it.
Of course they do.
And that's what we want. We want to create that environment for players to come in and not necessarily, they may not achieve that same standard, but they're coming in to improve their game.
Yeah. It's aspirational, right? It's what it should be. Super stuff. So back to futsal, if that's okay then, because you've obviously got a background in futsal, former National Futsal League manager, is that right?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
So I'm interested to know, did you play? What's your thoughts on futsal? We have our little ones train indoors once a week, the under-7s. We use a futsal ball in a kind of futsal format, but we change it slightly because we think we get the kids more involved than you can in normal futsal because of the way the rules work. But we're big fans of it. We're trying to embrace it. It's actually quite challenging around here to find opportunities to get more involved in it. Yeah. So be keen to know what your thoughts are and also what you're offering there, because it sounds interesting.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of futsal. I think it's a great game, and it's a game that should be played more in this country. I was fortunate enough, a former colleague of mine, Louis Melville, who I'm sure you may have heard. So
that's his name shout again twice now.
It is. Yeah, he's a big futsal advocate, and he's so knowledgeable about the game, and someone who I'd regularly talk to about futsal in the office on a weekly basis. And I was more intrigued to find out more about the game and just experience it for myself and see how I could use that within my sessions, not just for futsal but for football, and see how that can then translate into across the games. So an opportunity came up to join a local futsal club that just started out, and Chiswick Futsal Club it was called, and it was just out of interest just to see what it was like. It was a senior team. I thought I'd go down just to play. I thought I don't often get the chance to play. I'm not able to play competitively anymore because of my injury, but it was nice just to go down, just to have a friendly kickabout, really. But it turned out to be more than that, as it always does.
It always does.
So,
had you played futsal before?
I never played futsal before.
Right, okay.
Yeah, it was the first time. Yeah. So sole of the foot and the tempo of the game, it was a bit of a shock. And it started quite low key, a group of just local people, recreational session. But I ended up getting more involved with a couple others, and we thought, right, we want to start playing and representing the club in a competition. So we ended up joining the London Futsal League, which is based at Leighton Score Centre in East London. It was a weekly league, we really enjoyed it. We trained once a week and we played on a Sunday against just clubs from around London. It ended up doing really well, and we got to the semi-finals out of I think there was about 16 teams. So we started getting more involved, more interested in doing it, and as that was happening, my interest was growing in the game, and it was a time where the National League was being was really sort of establishing with more teams, and it was getting more interest on social media, and the England national team was doing really well. So we ended up joining the National Futsal League. Within about the manager, the head coach that took over, stepped away from it, and there was no one else left to sort of to take over. So I put myself forward, and I thought I'll give it a go. So again, I thought for me, I've always been wanting to do something different and to challenge myself. Yeah. I think that's something that I've always wanted to do things differently. I wanted just to continue putting myself out of my comfort zone. Yeah. That's how we all learn.
That's it. Absolutely. Yeah.
And we definitely learned a lot about futsal, about the game. Had the experience to play in the FA Futsal Cup. Finished second in our league in Division 1 of the National League. A great experience. And I managed to play a little bit as well and score a few goals, so that's okay.
How does it work with Brentford now then? You said you do a futsal session with younger age groups, is it, that once a week or something?
Yeah, we do. So as part of our program, we offer futsal sessions in Isleworth. Okay. So they're open to players to join. We like to offer players to join on a free trial session just to see they get a taste for it, because I've always found that once young players get a taste for the game and see what it's like, they love it. Yeah. Because it's small-sided, they get more touch to the ball. And the important message that we can get across to the young players, but also the parents, is that the skills are certainly transferable into football, but futsal as the game itself is fantastic, and the pathway through to play for your national team is a lot more achievable. And I've seen it happen with young players where they have the opportunities to trial for the England national teams under 17, under 19s, with Louis Melville, in fact. So we have a good link there, but it's more about offering the opportunity to play the game. Yeah. And there's so many opportunities at 1v1 to test themselves. The decision making has got to be made at a high tempo.
It's quick, isn't it?
It's a very demanding game.
Physically demanding.
Very demanding game. Yeah. So it's definitely test players.
What age groups do you do it up to then? Do you just offer it in the foundation phase, or do you go beyond that?
So foundation phase and youth development. Okay. So the sessions are really popular, and the numbers are growing. We're getting more and more per age group, and we're looking at adding more games. We're adding a games program to it now, so we will play other clubs, just to add to that, so they can experience what they're doing in training and transfer that into a game.
Yeah. I think one of the good things, like Scott, you obviously do it with the under 7s. We've done it with the under 10s as well, and actually the under 10s We've entered a league that was based in Buckinghamshire, Buckinghamshire league, and it was really well run. Actually, it was a great experience for the players. But I think it's just the contrast, right? For a start, you're inside, which is great in the winter time rather than being out in the Astro. But it's the contrast, the different football. I think you've probably summed it up before, in terms of you're giving them a different experience. You're not just kind of doing football on Saturday, football on Sunday, football midweek. You kind of futsal just kind of mixes it up a little bit, gives them something a little bit different to kind of think about.
Absolutely, yeah. It's such a high tempo game. I think the fact that it's indoors, that it's 5-a-side. Yeah. It's such a high tempo, more opportunities to score goals. Yeah. That's great for the kids. There's nothing. All that the players want to do is score goals. Yeah. And they have the opportunity to do that.
I think for us, we found with the younger ones and the old ones, actually, to be fair, because the ball runs so much faster. You've got to have a sharper first touch. You've got, everything's 100 miles an hour anyway, so you've kind of got to get that control going, and it's certainly helped the boys, hasn't it? Yeah, definitely. Benefit. And also, we use it slightly different, and this is the one thing I think with futsal, and I'm not an expert by any stretch, but I wonder if it could be tweaked or changed, or whether or not, I mean, we certainly do it differently, but the goalkeeper one, I know it's quite technical with regards to the actual, like the adult game, if you like, of futsal, which I get, and actually I think used cleverly, it's a good tactic having that for like keeper and stuff, but I think for the younger ones, not being able to keep as much, I think, is a bit of a disadvantage, particularly when we try and do that on our Sunday games. So when we play it, we use the keeper quite a lot in our little games, because it's almost like a combination then of 5-a-side indoor football and futsal together, but you're getting the best of both. But that might suit better for the younger age groups, and obviously building into maybe the more official rules as they get a bit older. But it certainly is a good format. It's all part. We try and a mixed football diet, as we call it. So they're not just doing the same thing every week. So
I think if any players have the experience the opportunity to do that, that's great. Yeah, it helps improve their game ultimately. I think the rule with the goalkeeper, it can be challenging at the beginning, but if they do it from an early age where they have to learn how to protect the ball and shield the ball and manipulate that around a player 1v1, or in a scenario that's 2 against 1, then in time they'll only get better and better and better at that.
It's not looking like it, did I?
No, I think this comes. I think you're absolutely right, but I think this comes back to the discussion we've had quite a lot around this in the foundation phase. Do you just want your players to be on the ball all the time, or do you want to also give them the opportunity or the decision-making opportunities, when to pass, when to dribble? And I think we've had a lot of dialogue around it, and even on the podcast we've spoken about it. And there's so much on Twitter now. Right? Obviously, Pete Sturgis is very keen on just staying on the ball, being on the ball in the foundation phase. But I think we maybe have a slightly different view. We're not against it, but we also maybe like a bit more of a mix. Where do you kind of stand on that kind of discussion?
I think if futsal can be played to the rules of the game
Yeah.
at every opportunity, then that's the way forward. But you know, with under 6, under 7 players, they need to understand the rules of the game, and there are a lot of rules in the game. So I think the main point is sole of the foot. If they're getting to use different parts of their foot and manipulating the ball, then that's the most important thing in the 7s, 8s, 9s. When it starts getting into 11s, 12s in the youth development phase, that's when it's the tactical side of the game, where the use of the goalkeeper rule can be brought in, and the fly goalkeeper, which, you know, that takes a lot of practice, because that's challenging. That's when really you want to be seeing the game for what it is. But you know, like I said before, the players playing futsal at that age is great. It's going to help them improve their ball manipulation.
All right. Well, if it's okay, then we're going to talk a bit about coaching, and really, obviously, with your background, both the Brentford stuff and what you do at Ascot, and just your general coach experience from what you've done over the last 10+ years. I'm interested to know what you think kind of makes a good coach. If you had to give some ingredients as to what you thought a good coach would look like, what would that be?
Yeah, of course. I think for me, personal. It's always, I think, very important for a coach to be very personal with their players. And what I mean by that is knowing their likes and dislikes. The big thing for me, especially what we do at Brentford, is a player cannot walk into the Astro and get a football and start playing with it until they've spoken to their coach and they've shaken hands. That's an important life skill, not, you know, the confidence to be able to walk up to their coach and shake their hand and ask how they're doing, how their day was. That teaches them a great deal.
So that'd be the player coming to the coach rather than the coach going to the player. Mostly.
We would encourage the player to do that in time, but I think for the coach themselves, it's about getting to know their players.
Yeah,
getting to know each individual player, whether it's what team they support, you know, what their favourite lesson is at school, or if there's exams going on, how was your exam today? It's not always got to be a football question. Yeah, it's more about what happens away from football, because I feel that shows a genuine interest in the person rather than the player. So that's, for me, that's always been an important one.
And I think it's got to be genuine as well, right? I think you've got to be genuine in terms of when you're asking these questions. Just coming back to that point, actually, like, I make sure that I go and shake every player's hand when they arrive. Like, we might have a free play game going on, they go on and play when they arrive. I never thought about it the other way around, actually, trying to instill that to come and say hello to the coach before they start playing. That's an interesting thought. I've never crossed my mind. I've always thought I'll go and shake the player's hand, they can start, and I'll go and shake their hand when they're playing.
Yeah, I think they'll learn that. I think if they don't, and then our coaches make sure they tell them. The next time you come and say hello
it's
first.
It's funny, a small tweak like that, because you're right, we always do the high five. So when the players come up, always a high five, and then sometimes they'll sneak on before you've seen them, but you go and give them a quick high five before the actual training session starts. But actually, almost creating the environment, you couldn't insist upon it, where actually, you know, come and say hello first. Why don't you say hello and let us know how your day's gone and things, in a nice positive way. Yeah. What a great way to start a session, and what a great way for them to take ownership of that introduction to the session.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know, and these little tweaks, you know, do make a massive difference to the environment you create overall, doesn't it? You know, now if I'm turning up at the session and Coach Mark, so I know I've got to go and say hello to Coach Mark before I go and get the ball out and start during that session. Well, you know, get a bit braver, come and say hello, you know, interrupt who you're talking to, which is fine, shake your hand. Yeah. Now suddenly my shoulders back a bit, I'm a bit ready, and I'm more engaged in the session. Yeah. And ready to play the session.
Yeah,
maybe.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you build on that, right? And then you can encourage them to maybe make sure they're making eye contact with you when they're shaking your hands. And it comes back to what you said, the life skills. Yeah. It's not just about the football. You're kind of teaching them these things for if they go into business or something like that. Then it's a good kind of life skills to have.
It comes back to educating the players. Yeah. Not just in football, but in life.
Yeah. Yeah, really good.
And I think we found as well that we can often concentrate a lot on the football side. I think when we first started coaching with the younger ones, we did that. It was very football focused. You look at the drills and the space and all that kind of stuff, which is important. Yeah. But you almost forget then about the kids that you're coaching, and you forget to ask them how their day's been. And it's not until you relax a little bit around the environment that then you start doing that stuff, don't you? And then you realise this is the important stuff, really, because actually that's the stuff that I get the best out of the players when you know, they're kind of happy, comfortable, engaged, enjoying it, and can express themselves in a way they feel confident and comfortable. Yeah. That's a great one straight away. That's brilliant. I've got a nugget there. So what else do you make as a good coach? Definitely getting to know the players. I'll give you that one 100%. We've stolen an idea there. What else do you think, from your experience, what do you think You know, you must have seen coaches you think they do that really well, or you do that well, or actually things you think aren't so good.
I think I'm going to be impersonal. The enthusiasm has got to be there in a coach. I think I absolutely love this game, and I've always wanted to transfer that love of the game to everyone else who's in my training sessions. Even to the parents, I absolutely love this game, and if I can have players that share that enthusiasm as well, then we're going to have a great time no matter what. That's important for the coach, is to set that right environment for them to be enthusiastic.
It's then the kids come back. Enthusiasm, isn't it? Like if you don't have it, if you go to a session you're feeling a bit flat, the session's often flat, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've got to put energy into it, haven't you? And that kind of drives it along.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard, especially on a winter's night in December.
Yeah.
You know, when it's raining, it's hard, but it's we love this game, and that's what it's got. You have to share that enthusiasm, because then the kids will keep coming back, and they'll keep enjoying it, and they'll keep talking to their friends about what they did yesterday in training, and they'll be able to share that enthusiasm with their friends as well. So yeah.
I think it's hard even for grassroots coaches, right? You kind of you work, if you do an evening session, you work all day, and literally an hour before the session you kind of finish work, and then you could have transferred. You got to change your mindset to coach, and you could have had a terrible day at work. God knows what's happened, but you have to change that mindset for when you turn up for the players. Otherwise, there's no point in running the session, right? Otherwise, they're not going to get the most out of it. You're not going to get the most out of it. So you've got to have. I think you're absolutely right in terms of the enthusiasm and setting the right environment.
It's like having been on the show, isn't it? A little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's some advice I was given when I just started out coaching, which is it's never left me. And someone once said to me, when you go out to coach, you're going out to perform. You're a performer. You're putting on a performance. You've got to be like an actor. You've got to perform. So no matter how, you could be very stressed from the day, or something may have happened, but you've got to perform and create that right environment.
Yeah, and like almost, you don't want to be over rehearsed in the sense of what you do is like too prescribed, but you need to know what you're going to do, don't you? Have the confidence to be able to react in the moment, keep a good mindset in the sense of being positive about stuff. And like I've had sessions before where your kind of mind's not quite right, and you're a bit short with the players, and you can kind of feel it's not right, and you come home disappointed with the way you've been, not the players, but the way you've been with it, and you can't wait till next week to kind of put things right again. But it's not always easy, is it? But it is definitely a performance art. Then so that's the coaching, so that couldn't argue with that, being personable, knowing the players and showing enthusiasm.
I think good planning as well.
Okay.
I think being organised and showing that you're planned and ready for the session, because then you can actually get the most out of it. And with most clubs and most coaches, you only have an hour a week.
Not much time, is it?
It's not much time at all. You're looking at
that quite easy, can't you?
You've got 10 minutes of a warm up and 20 minutes of a game. So really, you've got 30 minutes of technical work or game related practices. So making the most out of that hour is vital.
Well, that was our next question, really. Like, what makes a good session in for you, and how would you structure one of your sessions, or how they do it at Brentford?
So we have a technical document which is we share with our coaches, our players, our parents. It's always important for us that everyone knows what we're working on our sessions. I'm always a big fan of the first 5-10 minutes, a ball each where possible, ball between pairs where it's ball manipulation. They're moving the ball. If it can be opposed from the very beginning, even better, because it's more realistic to the game.
You get it, Mark?
Yeah.
I mean, it can be controversial. That I think we have the right blend. They come in and they have to practice their skills where they feel comfortable, but when it's the right time, it has to be opposed, because that's more realistic to the game.
But that opposition can be 1 versus 4, couldn't it? It hasn't got to be 1 versus 1. It could just be a little bit of interference there or something else. So
keyword interference there. If the interference is like you say 1 against 4, they still got opportunity to practice their skill under pressure.
Yeah. I think there's different ways of interference. All right, you could have a ball manipulation session whereby you've got the players kind of starting one side, and they're practicing the different skills
in a similar space, maybe.
Yeah, in a similar space. So they're having to have their head up, and they're having to kind of have the ball fully under control, because there's interaction.
Absolutely.
And then you've got the whole opposed piece, and Yeah, I think you're right. I generally don't like to agree with Brentford representatives or fans, but being a QPR fan. But yeah, I think it's a very fair point.
Yeah. What about the main part of the session? So you obviously get the players in and you do the ball manipulation stuff. Then how will the session work after that? Do you go into technical practice? Do you go into small-sided games? Does it vary depending on what you're doing?
I always prefer to give the ownership onto the coaching staff.
Okay.
We do have a syllabus that we work towards throughout the whole year. So there will be different topics over like a half-term period, for example, as we only train during term time. But it's down to the coaching staff and how they get that outcome. So, for example, we'll work on 6 weeks. We'll work on defending principles, and within that, we'll have 1v1 defending, 2v2. Working within a unit, within a team, pressing, dropping deep, just educating, giving an all-round education to the players on how defending principles looks like. And that's down to the coaching staff, whether they choose to do whole part whole, whether they prefer to do technical into a game. It's down to them, because they know the players. They know the players more than I do. So that's the ownership on them. What I like to see is ball manipulation to start, minimum of 30 minutes of match time at the end, because we need that importance of fun and playing and seeing the outcomes. But then it's just down to the coaching stuff.
For sure. And would you have a theme for 6 weeks then? It would general theme, but that's something to focus on. You'd have 6 weeks focusing around that, whether it was defending or attacking or passing. Okay.
So we'll start off with defending principles, as you mentioned, and there'll be a list of sessions that are in the document that the coaches have and the parents will see. So they have an idea. The parents will be able to watch and go, right, that we've got an idea of what their son, what their daughter is working on, and it's down to the coach to decide. Normally we like to do it in a build it up from like 1v1, 2v2, for example, all the way through to the team. But down to the coaching staff. Working on attacking principles, a lot of work on 1v1, 2v2 and 3v3 with our younger players, under 7, under 8s. More opportunities, more touches, and more to manipulate the ball. We also have a big 3v3 fan as our under 8s coach, who's also got a book out as well. So on 3v3. Okay. Peter Prickett, his name is.
Okay.
Peter is very passionate about 3v3 and futsal.
Yeah, we have got his book.
Very good.
So lots of session ideas and practices. So we've definitely seen the under 8s players, under 7s players improve and benefit from that.
Yeah. I think we're also big fans of 3v3, right?
Definitely. We played that a lot with the younger ones straight away, and then we came across Peter's book as well, and that's helped guide us a little bit on some of that stuff. And you can't argue with it, can you? I mean, we spoke in the last one about what Germany are doing now. They're doing a Foligno style 3v3, so they've got 2 goals either end in the 3v3 format. So it's even more attacking, even more goals, and even more kind of find that little bit of space to get your chances.
It's got it all
so
in
much
there,
in there.
It's got it all in there. I even do it with my under 10s as well, and it's just a great format.
Mark's still trying to organise a start of season 3v3 tournament. So just getting like,
great.
There's those tournaments that go out there, but no one does 3v3. So we're just trying to do that.
We'll link up with Peter.
We'll drop a note.
Just quickly, just come back to the syllabus for it. So is the syllabus the same across all of the age groups, or do you kind of have a syllabus for the foundation phase, a syllabus for the development phase?
It's the same for all age groups. Okay. Now, what used to happen is that we would have different age groups working on different outcomes. And we have more than one football development centre. So when we came to play matches during the school holidays and play as a team, players are working on different things in training. They could be working on passing or dribbling, and in the under 7s, or working on something different. Under 14s again, something different. So I wanted to make sure that our coaching staff had something to work towards, so all the age groups are working on the same thing. The sessions will look different, of course, depending on the age group, but the outcomes are all the same. So we all know what the players are learning from the sessions, and we've seen a massive benefit of that when it comes to our matches, where we may have players that have joined together from different centres, that they know each other, but they don't play with each other every week, but they're working on the same outcomes.
Got the continuities there to work together. It makes sense.
So we've seen a real improvement in that. And of course, when it gets to 14s, 15s, 16s, we want to see more phases of play, when it's more tactical based rather than technical based. Whereas it would be something completely different for the under 9s, where it would be working on the technical part of the outcome and then building the tactical part as we develop.
And how do you factor transitions in then? Do you have them in every session? You want to have a transition in every session, or would you have a separate in part of the syllabus? You have 3 or 4 weeks focused on transitions.
We do. That's one of my favourite topics: transition, positive and negative. Where we do spend a good 6-week block on that. It generally happens in every, with good planning, it happens in every session anyway. But we do really focus on that as well, because we want the reaction. First, we want the desire to win the ball back if it's lost, to react well and win it back within 5 seconds. That's the goal, because we want to be on the ball the most. And if we're not on the ball, we don't score. But we think about, what do we do when we get the ball? What's our options? How can we move forward? Who's supporting us? Where are the forward runs? So we do spend a good amount of time on that. I do love a good counter-attacking session.
Obviously, we work in the grassroots space, mainly in the foundation phase with younger players. Just wondered what your thoughts were for us as coaches, what you think we could do or how we should position ourselves with regards to developing the players that we've got, where our focus should be. And, you see it across a wider scale. And if you were in our shoes, trying to support the players best we could, what tips and advice would you give us?
I would certainly say playing the players in all positions.
Okay, rotation.
I think rotation of different positions is key.
I want more, but just on that one then, why is it important to you? We've had a big chat about this over the last few days, but for different reasons, and we're on the same page with it. But I've seen massive benefits this season with our little ones doing this, and it so works. I know it was the right thing to do, but I wasn't as confident that actually the players would really get there. But they've proven that they have. Why is that important to you? Why would you say that should be important to us? What are the benefits, I guess, for the players?
It develops and creates an all-round player. If a player can feel comfortable on the ball all over the pitch, then it's only going to benefit them, and they'll have more success. For example, a right-sided player played on the left side, then of course they've got to use both feet a lot more. But in terms of more than that, then they experience being in different parts of the pitch.
I've seen it different, doesn't it? Depending.
I see it with players now, even in my the first team of Ascot United, where players can get into the final third and freeze because there's too many decisions to make.
They're not used to being there.
So it's allowing the players to be playing in different positions from a young age, experience different kinds of decision-making processes, using different parts of the foot. But also, which often is underrated, is the vision and the peripheral vision. Whereas if you're playing on the right side, you're actually going to be looking to your left and into infield. Whereas if you play on the other side of the pitch, you have now both sides, or in the central part of midfield, you have a 360 vision. That's important to create that.
Yeah, I think I think we're on the same page. I don't think we disagree with you. And I think the other thing is that, like, if you're a defender, right, the game's always in front of you, whereas attacker, you kind of different viewpoints, so that you see that as well. Just, I guess, the other argument that sometimes can be put forward is maybe players are not specialising in positions as early. Do you think that will hinder? I guess the England national team eventually, if we have rotation, they can all play different positions. Maybe you won't have such a strong central defender or such a strong centre forward if you're not going to specialise in at a young age, or even the goalkeeper, for example.
Yeah, of course. I think when it gets to around 11, 12, 13 is when you start reducing the number of positions. You they sort of find their way. And generally, I always like to think that players will have a primary position, a secondary position, and maybe a third one if they're capable of that. But from 7s to 10s, you've got to be playing all kinds of positions, because you don't know what they may be good at or what they may develop. Even for a goalkeeper, like you say, the modern day goalkeeper, for example, needs to be good with their feet. To play out from the back or to distribute the ball over short and long distances. I mean, we see how Edison just, he can ping a ball over 60 yards straight to Aguero's feet, for example, Sterling's feet, and they're away. So he can develop that just by being a goalkeeper. He's had to play out on pitch. So I think as they get later on, they'll start specialising in that position. And I think again it comes back to the point of how to manipulate the ball. If they can kick the ball using different parts of the fit, then they can play anywhere. It's only going to benefit.
I guess then when they go through puberty and physically they develop, then they've got a varied skill set, but that's maybe other constraints that get put in place in them because of the way their body develops and the way they change. So at least they're capable of playing different positions depending on what happens. So many top players end up playing different positions than what they played to when they were going through the academy phase, right? But I cut you off there, so you did say rotation, but I'm so impressed again. But other things that you think then around tips for us as coaches, rotating our players 100%, what other things would you suggest that we can make sure we do with our players?
The environment, that's important, is to create a positive environment where all of the players want to come back every single week, that they walk away with a huge smile on their face, having had a fantastic time. That's so important, where the emphasis isn't on winning. We do want our players to want to win. That's very important, which often does get forgotten about. Yeah. But it doesn't mean it's win at all costs. So it's creating that environment where it is competitive, it's very positive, and they can walk away having also learned.
Be challenging for the players, but also make it engaging and fun, but stretch them as best you can. But having that mindset where you don't focus on the results, you can still focus on the development. It's not always easy, but it's...
I think one of the challenges as well is managing the parents, right? I guess at Brentford you don't have that issue, but as a grassroots coach you have the issue of dealing with parents, and they want to see their son scoring 5 goals a game, and they want to see their son in the best team and winning games. That's the real challenge, is getting them bought into your kind of philosophy on the longer term development. And it doesn't matter if you rock up at a game and lose 4-2. In fact, it's probably better to lose 4-2 than win 10-0, right? The players get more out of it. But it's that education on the parent side, which I think we've spoken a lot about it on different podcasts. It's challenging to say the least.
Very challenging.
Do you get that at Brentford, or do you tend to get parents who are on
keeping the parents involved in what's going on in communication? If parents understand what is going on and how we're trying to do it and how we're trying to get there, then they'll buy into it. Yeah. And we have great parents. Yeah. We have fantastic parents that are really supportive of what we do, not only just because of the football side, but as we mentioned previously about the personal side and creating life skills. It's just about educating them and about why we do it. And I think that's something I hope to see more of in the future game, is that parent workshops, for example, is how coaches can communicate with parents. How can we get them on board? How can we get them to understand what we're doing and why we're doing it?
I mean, we put a lot of time into educating coaches, which is the right thing to do, and we're certainly trying to educate ourselves. But then you have to pass it on to the parents as well, because they care, don't they? They've got a passion for the game, and they obviously care about their kids. So it's just helping them understand, and that communication is key. Yeah. Final questions, then, really. I mean, any hot tips or nuggets? You may have covered that in the last question, really, around rotation, things like that. But any golden nuggets? Anything you've seen? That's a great thing to do in a session, or a practice, or a book, or anything that you think actually, guys, is something you can take away with you, and that's a good tip.
Any good podcast you'd recommend?
Definitely this podcast. That's for sure.
That's the right answer.
I think for me, it's always been about putting yourself out your comfort zone, trying something new. If it goes wrong, it's absolutely fine. Yeah, you can always try it again next week. I've always been a big believer in just testing yourself the whole time, because otherwise we won't improve as coaches, and therefore we won't be able to improve and develop the players. Yeah. So whether it's trying a new practice, different formations, four formations in over 4 quarters of a game, that could be something that you can challenge yourself with, or even just watching coaches. I think that's where I've learned the most, is by watching other coaches, and I've seen some brilliant ones. And it could be in an academy environment, but I've also been down to a local club and watched coaches, because you can learn something of everyone.
Sure. That comes up quite a lot. The things you said about the environment being important, about rotation, but about challenging yourself, it comes up quite a lot, doesn't it, in the themes? And we speak to other coaches that come in and come on this, and it seems to be a constant theme that runs through these. So, Jamie, thank you so much. I'm sure that people that want to reach out to you, obviously the work you did at Brentford is fantastic. We're close to you geographically, so we know what you're doing, and the feedback's been excellent. Our own kids have been there and experienced and really enjoyed the sessions you put on there. I'm sure we'll be doing a bit more of that, and we'll be in contact with other stuff. But if people want to reach out to you and have questions about the episode itself, or want to know more about what you're doing at Brentford, is there a good way to get to you?
Yeah, of course. On social media.
Okay.
So I have a Twitter account, Jamie Tompkins 4.
Okay.
So I'm always available I'm here to help and support. If people want to ask me questions, or come down to watch sessions at Brentford, or we get many inquiries for players wanting to join our program, and it's just a case of just getting in contact with me, and we'll sort out details from there.
We'll put the link in with the podcast episode to your Twitter handle as well. We'll definitely be down to see if that's okay. We're watching sessions and things. So, but thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciated.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks very much for having me.
Okay, Mark. So that was the interview with Jamie.
Yeah, done.
Tick
the box.
Yeah, tick the box, definitely. Very much so. So obviously we covered, Jamie covered a fair bit there around different things. Just your initial thoughts off the back of that?
I thought it was a great discussion to start with. As I said at the beginning, I've got a kind of page full of notes that I've made. I think before we get into some of the really good things we spoke about, I think Jamie come across really, really well. Great knowledge of the game. I love the discussion around futsal, which we'll talk more about. And you can just see these different experiences he's had or he's got, right? And I think that really comes through. So the experience with futsal, the experience at Brentford that he's got or he's still with, and then obviously he's got the kind of Ascot first team manager experience as well, which sounds like something that's going really well for him. And I'll be keeping an eye on how they do this season. So I think he's got this kind of all round experience. It's not just in the foundation phase. It's not just kind of more adult football. It's kind of lots of different areas. And even I think he was saying in his role as community football development manager at Brentford, he covers the under 5s to the under 19. So again, that's a wide ranging age of boys and girls. So yeah, I thought it was really, really, really good interview. How about yourself? What was your kind of thoughts?
Yeah, the same. It must be quite interesting when you work across kind of like a wide spectrum like that, how many ideas you can probably use that probably work with like an under 19s that you can use with an under 5s.
Yeah.
You know, I bet there's loads of things, and the other way around as well. So for us, it's probably so detention not turn your phone off for the podcast episode.
First time that's happened.
Isn't it? No one phoned you, that's why. Yeah, I think there is not a danger, but certainly on my part, I kind of get very focused on the age group I'm with and the environment that I'm in, and you get very tunnel vision, don't you?
Yeah.
I think I do a pretty good job with what I've got, but I don't really know until I look out and about and see what else is out there. Yeah. And if I am doing a pretty good job, well, could I even be doing it better if I see some other ideas? And to be fair to Jamie, what he's done is he's thrown himself across a wide spectrum to be able to make sure that he's kind of he's keeping his own interests high, isn't he? He's not getting kind of bogged down into one space. But also, I'm sure what he's getting from having those different experiences is value to the other players and coaches' environments that he works in from sharing stuff. So
yeah, I agree. So I think like what some of the things that I thought would kind of come across really well when we were talking about what makes a kind of good coach. So we kind of I think he touched on the kind of personal side of being a coach in terms of understanding your players, which is an area that I know we've kind of spoken about before. So it's around understanding their likes, their dislikes, and I think just kind of talking to them, right?
Yeah.
Just even like engaging with them and
getting to know them.
Yeah, getting to know them. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think that all helps, right? You building that relationship, you're building that trust, and I think that helps with the whole creating the right environment, and it also helps with the players kind of trusting you and buying into what you're doing.
Players don't care how much you know to know how much you care.
Yeah.
And it's so true, isn't it? And I think what Jamie was saying about, it hasn't always got to be football stuff. You can talk about where you could work or schools being or things like that. So, but a lot of value in that.
Definitely. And I think the point he made around they encourage all the players to come over and shake hands with the coaches when they arrive. That's something which kind of turns it on its head. I've always kind of done the opposite. I've the one that's gone and spoken to the players when they arrive. They might be playing football free play at the start. And I've gone and just spoken to them, shaken their hand, and asked them how their week's been, etc. But this is doing it the other way around, which I think is really good.
Question for you on that one then, okay? Because I thought about that, and I thought the same thing when he said it. I think we have a similar start to our sessions, that we make sure we greet all the boys and give them high fives, and we have quite an engaging start when they turn up, right?
Yeah.
Shouting out the names, whatever else. So it's big smiles. Like you've got under 10s going under 11s, I've got under 7s going under 8s. Do you think it would be a good idea or not with the age group that we've got to say from, say, September that actually, boys, this is the expectation now as you come to training, and before you get a ball out and stored in the free play, you shake the coach's hands. Are they too young, or is it better keeping it more relaxed and fun with the high fives and we lead that?
Yeah.
Or do we transition and say, right, for this season now we go to, right, you can come, but we want a high five first, but you've got to find us with a high five, and then build up to, I like the handshakes, but I don't want to make it too formal too early. And is it something maybe maybe under nines, you must have a stepping stone to that world where, it hasn't got to be too, I mean, I love the idea of it and I'm all for it. I think you could do it under fives if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
But, does it make the environment too serious too soon for some age groups? And is it better off a bit later on? I'm thinking out loud here.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. And I'd probably, for the younger ages, I'd keep it in with high fives and probably coaches calling out their names when they arrive and having a bit of a kind of fun and jokes. I think like for under 10s, I shake hands rather than do high fives. Now I think they're kind of probably at that age where I wouldn't say they're too old for high fives, but I think we shake hands.
I've shaken hands with some of the boys in your team, and they've got stronger handshakes.
I know. I know, very manly. And then I think probably going into under 11s, I might start to encourage them to come over and shake the coach's hand, lead it. Yeah, definitely. I think maybe not so at the younger age groups. Maybe I'd try and keep it a bit more fun. They just want to get over there and play football, right? They see their mates playing football. They just want to get in and play football.
And it isn't that thing about balance, isn't it, between when you do these things? Because I think it's great to get the ownership on the players and for them to lead on these things, but also you don't want to do that at expense of the environment being positive and friendly and relaxed and stuff. So.
Yeah, you don't want to make it too formal.
No.
But at the end of the session, always make sure that the players shake hands with the coaches or ask them to shake hands with your fellow players.
Yep.
And shake hands with the coaches.
Yeah.
Before they go. That's one thing I'd do, and I think maybe you do something similar, but more with high fives, don't you?
Yeah, everyone's got to give each other high fives, all the players to each other and all the coach, and say thank you.
Yeah.
So thanks to the coaches and to each other,
exactly.
because that's thanks is a big word, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right,
definitely.
cool. So knowing the players, doing the handshakes.
Yeah. I think the other thing was around enthusiasm. Coaches being enthusiastic and setting the right environment. That's what I'm going to make a note of here, and I think that's just critical, right? We've spoken about the whole environment piece so much, and it's so important.
Every episode, right? It comes up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just fundamental. But I think the enthusiasm bit is a little bit, or the positivity bit is a little bit underplayed. We don't talk about that enough, and I think good coaches are able to make maybe even some of the mundane practices, maybe like your unopposed ball skills, actually get the players to enjoy it, just through being enthusiastic, being positive, setting challenges and things like that. And I think that bit's so important, because training sessions can very quickly go stale unless you've really got that drive and that enthusiasm coming from the top.
Yeah, definitely. And even the other way around, you might have a good session that if you're killing it by not having the right energy behind it, it could also harder to kill a good session than it is to make probably harder to kill a good session is to make a bad session good. Yeah. But enthusiasm can make a difference, can't it?
Definitely.
With the players, especially you want a high level of intensity in the training sessions.
Yeah, 100%. And even like things, obviously, as with part-time coaches, we have other jobs and things. You things go on right at work or go on at home. You still have to kind of turn up and be ready and be enthusiastic and positive in the session. You have to put all these things behind you and just do it for the players.
And even if you've got to fake it a bit, I think you've got to be convincing, because players will see through it, won't they?
Definitely.
If you've got to really almost just park your stuff from whatever else is going on outside and just focus on the session and bring you energy, because otherwise, not that there's no point, but it's certainly you won't get as much out of it, and you'll probably leave. I know we've all been there, I'm sure, a bit deflated at the end, thinking, could have done better there. Yeah. So don't waste the hour or the 90 minutes or however long you've got. You really just try and switch it on. I know it's not always easy, but if it certainly would be a better session the more genuine enthusiast you can be. And if you can't be genuine, try to do your best to fake it in a way that's convincing.
And I think you used a good word there, energy, actually.
Yeah.
That's really important, right? Because we ask the players to be...
I was going to say that.
And show energy, play at a high intensity, but coaches have got to do that as well.
Yeah, definitely. And the other one was planning, wasn't it? You said, I think. So one of the things was getting to know your players, enthusiasm, and planning was important. So, not the most fun, but it does make a big difference, doesn't it? If you can put that preparation time in before the session.
Yep.
And it isn't just about what you're going to do necessarily, but in fact, I don't think it is about what you're going to do. I think it's more about what you're hoping to see. Yeah. And then what happens if you don't see it, or what happens if you do see it. You know, so whatever your theme of the session might be around, what are you hoping to see in that session? What will it look like? Visualize it in your head. I mean, maybe that's become a bit of a visual person, but visualize what you want to see and hoping. Recognize each player might have a different way of demonstrating that. If you know your players, you can kind of see that.
Yep.
And then think, okay, if I do start seeing that and actually they could do more, what could I then ask them to, what else could I be looking for really as challenges? And likewise, if it doesn't work, how can I back up a little bit and then to wind it back down? So I think for me, the word I try and avoid, or the situation I try to avoid getting, is frustrated.
Yeah.
And I usually get frustrated when I see things I wasn't expecting, because then I get, maybe it's just a bit of panic, I can't cope now. Where I think the sessions that run better for me are the ones where actually I kind of knew this was going to happen, good or bad, but I've kind of got a plan in my head of how I can adjust it accordingly, either as a collective for all the players or individually for one or two that may be either forging ahead or struggling a little bit behind. And that comes down to the planning, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I think you try and plan for, or you try and think through actually what may go wrong, what could I do? You're going to think through that. Maybe don't spend enough time on that piece, but that's critical. And even like at a session yesterday where we were playing six-a-side, small-sided kind of game, but it was six-a-side. You had two goals either end, two small goals either end, and in the kind of far corners, and it just wasn't, the game wasn't working. I wanted it to work. I think I felt like there was too many players on the pitch for the size of the pitch. I wanted to keep it small, so the game's played at high intensity and the players are under pressure a lot. And then in the end, I had to dial it back, and I took two of the players out, and they become bounce players on the side, which obviously created more space in the game, but it also then was another passing option for the player on the ball to use the bounce player, and it just kind of completely changed and made you started to get some of the outcomes I was looking for in the session, and it was something that I'd thought through before. I could do this depending on numbers, because you're always not 100% sure what numbers you get, but if I have too many, or if we take one or two boys from the C team to come over with us and see how they go, this is how we can make it work. So I think it's important that you kind of have those kind of options available.
That's experience, Mark, right?
Yeah.
It's the kind of thing where I reckon a couple of years ago, if that was me doing that session, we'd have either struggled through it as it was, and then thought about it during the week but had to make it better next time, or maybe just abandoned it and done something more drastic in the session and just changed it rather than looking for those tweaks.
Yes.
And also giving yourself, a bit of time. If it's not quite working, fine, give it a minute or two and just have a little think. Step back, just think about what can I do? Is it the space? Is it the number of players? Could I do something different here? Rather than just kind of overreact in the moment or just trying to blood through regardless, even though it's not working. Maybe that's just where we were 2 years ago compared to hopefully where we are now, where you learn and get a few more little tricks in your locker, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and even
and confidence.
Yeah, it's confidence. Yeah, even like 5 minutes into that session, I said to my assistant coach, "Oh, this isn't what flowing very well. It's not working how I envisaged it working." And he said, "Oh, should we change it?" And I said, "Oh, let's just give it 5 minutes and let's just think through what we can do, or let's not kind of rush into it." So we gave it another 5 minutes, and then we kind of changed it, and it kind of, we agreed this is how we can make it work, and it kind of flowed nicely after that.
Well, that's the other point, is actually not kicking in too early, right? Because sometimes give it some time, and it does. The players find the solution.
Exactly.
It is okay if it's scrappy at first. Right?
Yeah.
In fact, it probably should be.
Yes.
Because if it's not, then maybe you've kind of pitched in too low from the outset.
Yeah.
So it is having that gauge about, so okay, or view it and think, okay, so right now it's not quite, well, let's give it 5 minutes and just see.
Yeah.
But also during that 5 minutes thinking, okay, if it doesn't get any better, what can I do to tweak it maybe, rather than just, throw it out completely.
Yeah.
But do persevere. It actually might need 10 minutes, and it's having that kind of gut feel about they're going to get this. It's just hanging there, they're going to get it. Because if they do, it's going to be great and be worth the messiness for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point.
Absolutely. All
right, and then we asked them for some hot tips, didn't we? And again, I think, and this wasn't, we could have pre-planned this one a little bit, but the first thing he said was rotation, which is kind of, again, is something been big on. The more, I think, having this season with the younger ones and seeing the benefit it's been for them, I'm just sold on it now. I believed in it philosophically like 18 months ago. But having done it in earnest, in practice, and seeing the benefits over a long time, over a 12-month plus period, it is the right thing to do for the players.
Yeah.
And I do think, and I know it's an advantage having the younger ones, because you've got more opportunity, I guess, in many ways, and it's creates slightly less pressure. But really, that's nonsense. Anybody under 16 should be rotating around. Really, how much and whatever else, and is variable depending on the circumstances, I'm sure. But really, if you we've had a conversation recently in different environments about players, and it was about player streaming and movement, and what team a player should be in. We spoke about it before. We have like an A, B, and a C system. It doesn't really matter, but it can be quite subjective about where a player should play. And I was trying to think of a way in which you could articulate this to someone and say, look, this is the best way of looking at it. And it kind of links back to rotation. For me, the question is, the players you've got in your team, are they capable of getting on the ball in a match, having a bit of impact, and playing in at least more than one position? I think if you've got players that can get on the ball in a game, can have a bit of an impact. It might be variable. We might have one that have a big impact, some not so much, but they're getting some impact in the game, and they can play in at least two positions, I would say. Then I think they're fine in your team. Personally, that's my judgment on it. That's a really rough way of describing it. If you actually think, you know what, little Jim is struggling to get on the ball, or little Lisa can't have an impact, or I can't play little Freddie in more than one position. I personally would think they could be in the wrong team, and they might have to play at a little level now that might just be better for them to do those things, because either one or two things will happen. Either as a coach you'll make bad choices and you'll play little Freddie in one position, and that won't help little Freddie's development, and little Freddie could be 15 years old, let's be honest here, okay, but certainly worse when they're younger if that happens, or you will stick to principles the right thing to do and move them around, and little Freddie or little Lisa or little Jimmy won't get an opportunity to get on the ball enough to get the touches they need to be able to develop themselves either at the level they're playing at. So that it may done in the right way with the right environment, it may be the right thing for them to be playing at a level fractionally lower, just so they can do that rotation, get on the ball, do different things, and learn their game. I totally appreciate it depends on the age and stage the players are at and the environment of the club and everything else you've got going around you. But for me, that kind of feels like a rough way of looking at it that puts the players' interests first. Does that make sense?
I think it makes sense. It's a different way of looking at it, right? It's not. It's not all people. I don't think coaches look at it that way when they do streaming or age groups. I don't necessarily think they look at it in that respect. I think they still will look at how dominant is this person in training? How dominant are they in
it's
matches?
often compared to somebody else, though, right? And that's the mistake that they make. Don't compare it to somebody else. Look at the player. If they're getting on the ball and they have an impact in the game, and they can do more than one thing in your team, then they're probably okay, aren't they? Because of progression is not linear, or development's not linear. They might be having a bit of a flat spell. So you won't move players around unnecessarily. But if they really can't get on that ball, then they're not going to develop, are they? No. If they can only do it in one position. I would sacrifice. I would sacrifice the level for the rotation. Personally. And if it was my kid, I'd be like, you know what, I think you better. I'd get that as a long term development move.
Yeah, I think a fair point. I think I'm just a firm believer in just players should be playing at the right level, regardless if it's the A team, regardless if it's the C team. They just need to play at a level where they, I think, can be competitive. They're challenged, but it's not too easy for them. I think people get hung up too much on, my son's in the A team, my son's in the B team. I just think they need to be playing at the right level, and as long as they've got the right coach there that's kind of focused on them developing, then that's the way it should be.
And the irony is, Mark, I think the level that most players play at is, especially in grassroots environment, is more about what they do outside of the training session, because you've got them an hour and a half a week at best, and they've probably got a whole bunch of other stuff going on outside during the week that could influence how much their football improves, and that may be kicking a ball, it may be swimming, skateboarding, dancing, netball, playing FIFA, so it is a nonsense, the A, B and C thing in relation to your potential of a player. But it is nonsense. It's not nonsense in the sense of where they're at that moment in time, but where they can go to is really down to what the player wants to do with regards to how much effort they put into stuff outside of the training itself, right? Definitely if you're playing in an academy, because you're going to get lots of hours of football and stuff, and it's more competitive, and you kind of probably your peers are more important to you. But in our space, it really is just what you do outside of training. As much
and even
as
if that's like how much you kick the ball around at home with your brother or sister, right? It can
all
make a difference.
All those touches add up, don't they?
Yeah, exactly.
And then he said about environment again, which we've covered again, but key, and also the emphasis not being on winning, which we spoke about a lot, but also not being on winning. So winning is not important, but it's not the emphasis. It's not the priority. And then finally, he said about communication with parents, which is quite interesting, because I always think that's a bigger thing for grassroots clubs, but I think I'm wrong about that. I think actually, the academy clubs and clubs like Brentford and stuff, it's still an important part of how they manage and what they think about on their day-to-day business, and how they recruit their players, keep their players, and communicate back to their players. Obviously, the parents are integral to that, because of the age of the players they're working with.
Yeah, well, it's interesting, because I was talking to a dad yesterday about his son who plays at one of the Category academies. He hasn't been signed, but he's lower than the under 9, so he hasn't been kind of assigned yet. And he was saying that his son's been there for 2 years, and he literally, apart from an email to say we're training these times this season, this is the Christmas break, this is the Easter break, he literally has had no feedback on his son for 2 seasons, which I find really interesting. Maybe they do that intentionally because they've got a big pool of players they can choose from, and they don't want to commit at an early stage to say your son's progressing well, and because things change very quickly. I don't know, but I think if that was my son, I think I'd want to know just at least what areas that he could improve on, or what he should be working on. I guess you can see that if you're watching him train, but I think it's interesting. No kind of feedback for 2 years is, and then I guess at the end of that, end of the this year or end of next year, he could just be kind of dropped, right? And then there'll be nothing until you're told, he's just maybe not quite ready for it yet.
Yeah, definitely. My view's changed that slightly, and I think I could kind of understand if that's a pre-planned approach to working with parents. I kind of get that, but what I don't get is why you wouldn't tell the parents that from the outset.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you say, look, I tell you what, for all these reasons listed here, we don't really communicate too much with regards to your players' progress.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the right thing to say, if I'm honest with you. We spoke about player reviews before, haven't we? I don't, let the players progress naturally, because what do you say? Okay, if you say little Lisa's really struggling, what happens to and the parents aren't the best supportive parents, maybe best intentions, but haven't got the right idea how to support Lisa's progress. Suddenly Lisa's experience from the home environment becomes a bit more harsh and a bit more, because I get not doing it, and I think actually maybe natural progression is the best way to be, and let's let the club work with the players and see how they get on. But tell the parents that then, because then I think they know not to expect anything. And maybe they have done that, but I do think I think less is more. But just tell the parents that at least, so that's communication, that we tell you we're not going to do nothing, and you'll know every 6 weeks and deal with it. But if it's going to be a thanks but no thanks, we'll make sure we handle that in the right way when we get how old the players are. Which I don't know that always happens either. But
no, I'm not convinced.
And then I think, the last thing that I had written down here was, and this comes up a few times as well, and I think it relates again about how similar coaching and playing is with regards to expectations. But what Jamie said was, get out of your comfort zone.
Yes, definitely.
Get out, and he's right, isn't he?
Yeah.
But do it, Go and observe other people's. Let people come and observe your sessions.
Yep.
Try different practices. Try different formations. Challenge the players. Try different things out.
Yep.
The worst that can happen is you'll learn something.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. And you have got time with the players. And if it's not the best session one week because you try something, fair enough. But you've learned that, and it's done, isn't it? And you've been progressive in your thinking.
Yep.
So be brave. And I know we're creatures of habit, right? I certainly am.
Yep.
So that makes it harder for me to be brave sometimes, because I stick to things I think I kind of know and what's right, and that's a bad habit. And one of my personal goals for next season is to make sure that at least every 6 weeks or every half term for us, I try something different. Just try it. If it doesn't work, absolutely, I'll sacrifice one session or part of a session or something else, and it won't work. Or if it does, I can build on that.
Yep.
But that means at least 2 things a term, so that's at least 6 things over next year. I'll try and see what happens. It could be a match thing, it could be a training thing, it could be in my own personal development outside of the sessions. But every 6 weeks, I'm going to try something. I'm happy to share that on the podcast, see what it was and how it worked. But that's
I think it's a great point. That's how you learn, right? Putting yourself outside your comfort zone, and that's how players learn, by putting themselves outside their comfort zone, maybe making mistakes, learning from those mistakes. And I think coaches are the same. But wouldn't it be great? And I was thinking through this, like even at our club, like maybe not during the season, but outside of the season in June or something, we had a manager like changeover session. So right, Scott, you're the under-7s coach. You're going to be going to coach the girls this week. Mark, you're under-10s coach. You're going to go and coach under-16s. Under-16 coach, you're coming down to under-8s. Under-8s, you're going up to under-14. Do you know what I mean? Just a complete changeover.
Even just lucky dips.
Lucky dips, yeah.
What a bit of fun, just go out and take a session.
But how good would that be? What the experience, not just for the players, having a different coach, and hopefully all the coaches are going to be good and would buy into it, but also for the coaches, having an experience. So I've never coached with under-16s, mostly because they're taller than me, but... That aside, what great experience...
Under-9s are taller than you.
Yeah, it's a fair point. Yeah. No, under-10s, under-9s are not quite there. But what great experience would be for me to go and coach for under-16s, or for you to go and coach the under-12 girls team, because I'm sure there's little slightly different dynamics than coaching an under 17.
I think it's a great idea. What I would say with that is, thinking off the top of my head, is you probably be budding up and doing a 2-week thing. So one, like you work, say it was me and you, we didn't have know each other like we do know each other.
Yeah.
But if you're under 16s and I was under 10s, then I come with you and coach your kids while you observe me coaching your kids.
Yep.
Right. And then you do the same with them. So you're not just switching around. So
Yep.
you get to see each other as well, because there's a lot
That's
of value
how
in
you
that,
learn.
isn't it?
Yeah,
So
even better.
But literally,
Yep.
I'm not watching you coach your kids.
Yep.
You're watching me coach your kids.
Yep.
You know, maybe give me a bit of information up front about certain things. You know,
Yep.
and you tell me the theme you want to do. But I did a session. I think it's a cracking idea, and I
Yeah.
think the players would love it. Someone different voice, someone different
Definitely,
coming
yeah.
in.
Yeah.
And do you know what? And if the coach wasn't very good, well, then they might actually appreciate the coach they have got, right?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
if the coach is brilliant, well, then the other coach is going to say, "I'm going to raise my game a little bit here because
Yeah.
this was quite impressive." Which
Yeah.
either way, it's a win-win.
Yeah.
Yeah, good idea.
Maybe we'll float that with the club.
Good idea.
See what they say.
Yeah. It's on the podcast and I can't steal it as my one, can I? That's definitely down to you. All right, well, we've gone long enough, I think, Marky.
Yes.
Is that all right?
Yeah, perfect. I think the only last thing was around the futsal discussion.
Oh, yeah.
Importance of
Yep.
futsal and providing this something different, right? From just playing football, and the benefits of futsal in terms of the speed, using different parts of your foot. Also, we had a big discussion around the goalkeeping situation and all that. So, yeah, I thought that was a good discussion, and I think it'd be great to get someone on to have a longer discussion about futsal at some point. I think it'd be really interesting. But that was great, and it's great that Brentford are doing it, right?
Definitely, 100%. And I think we've done this where if you do more than one session a week with your players, make the other session different.
Yeah, you do that very well, actually.
It just feels different, and I think I don't want the players getting bored. They play a lot of football already. I mean, they're not even turned not even turned 7 years old. Some of the boys, they play a lot of football already over the last couple of years, and I don't want them getting bored of it. I don't mean next week, but I mean when they're 15. You know, so I make the environment still positive, but feel a bit different.
Yeah.
So if you come to a Wednesday session, it does feel different to a Saturday session.
Yeah.
And it feels different to a Sunday match. So I think it's important. It's still football, but it feels a bit different.
Would you ever consider going further and say, right, this Wednesday, I think you have six or seven boys that come to futsal on football or futsal on a Wednesday, depending on the time of year. Would you consider saying, right, this Wednesday, don't bring your boots, put your trainers on, we're going to play tennis down the local court? So
That was always the plan, and I never did it. Like every half term is something different, but also maybe not tell them.
Yeah.
So they just turn up, maybe could tell the parents been whatever different where else, but do something different. Yeah. Like definitely, I wanted to get people into do a judo session one night and things. I've got the ideas, but you 100%, almost like a multi-sport thing. Yeah. I'll play with tennis balls one night or something different.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that was an idea, but I never saw it through. But I will think over the summer about that and try and get some things in place to try and do some of that next year. The only thing I do think is when the boys come. And I know they've really enjoyed the Wednesday sessions, generally speaking. Yeah. Like I want it to be as good, so they're not disappointed. Can we play football now? I'd hate to do something like, can we play football now? You're like, well, because actually, especially if you get someone else in, you want it to be good. So it just means I want to be comfortable and confident that if we do something different, the boys will engage and get it. But I'm sure they will. But like you say, maybe that's part of my every 6 weeks challenge to try something different. Maybe I could use the Wednesday sessions and that to do something different every now and then and see what happens.
It is a good point, actually, because even I know, like, if I take my sons down to play tennis, they always say, can we take a football as well? Yeah. And so we end up playing tennis, but then we end up kicking it around in the park.
I'm thinking of your boy, like he loves his football, and I just know, like for him, it would have to be something that he really. I mean, he likes most sports, but he loves his football, and there's like one or two others I think actually, they've come to play football, and I'd want to be quite confident that they'd be okay with something different, but I think they would be.
I actually think he would be, and it's not my younger son that's the one that asked to bring football. It's actually my older
son. Oh, is it the older one?
He wants to bring football. Younger one, like he just
he'd do anything.
Any sports, he doesn't mind. But I think
worth
it's
trying.
interesting, right? Yeah.
All right. So,
cool.
Well, massive thanks to Jamie and the great work they're doing at Brentford.
Yeah.
Again, we're lucky in the sense that we've got a few clubs around us that let us have access to what they're doing and have conversations with them. And Jamie's been great on that front. So if you want to reach out to him, we'll put his Twitter handle in the show note episode on our Twitter feed for this.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he'd be happy to hear from people. Hope you enjoyed the episode. we're grateful for people giving up their time for free as they do for us, and share their experiences. And hopefully there's been at least a nugget or two for the people listening to take on board and put into their sessions.
Yeah,
Sound
absolutely.
all right?
Yeah, brilliant.
All right. Well, thanks everyone. Have a great week. Please, if you want to reach out to us, we've got our episodes now on our website, which is www.thesoccercoachingpodcast.com. The email addresses are there and everything else. Obviously, we've got the episodes across all the platforms with regards to the podcasts. And we don't often ask for this, to be honest with you. But if you can put in a reasonable amount of stars that you think is appropriate, and a comment or two, that would be great. We don't mind, honestly. Any feedback is positive for us in the sense that it helps us develop and get better. We only ask this, I think, because not for ego's sake, I promise you. It's the fact that actually, apparently, if you had the more stars and the ratings, then people can find you easier. Yep. So that's the only reason we ask for it. So if you've enjoyed it and you think other people should have the opportunity to find it, then please do that. That'd be brilliant. We don't get so many ratings and stars back compared to what we get through Twitter and emails. But if you can do that, that'd be brilliant. Well, the idea for us is to reflect over the summer about different ways in which we can do this, maybe for season 2. It may be the same, we may do something different. We'll think over the summer. But if you've got some thoughts on that, either how we can improve the format for you, or if you've got any ideas about guests you want on the show, or you want to be a guest on the show, you've got something you want to share and you've got a voice, you're sitting at home now listening to this, or wherever you are in your car or whatever else, thinking, you know what, I agree with Mark or Scott on this, but I could say this or have this thought on it. Reach out to us. Doesn't matter what your background is. Don't care what badge you've got or where you coach. You might coach 2 kids with no badges. If you've got something that's worth sharing, then let's hear it, please. The more thoughts, the merrier.
Definitely.
Sound good?
Yeah, perfect.
All right. Thanks, Marky.
Cheers, Scott.
Have a good week, everyone. Bye.